So, so there's actually 3 corners where I messed up and time could be made. I'm sure you probably know which one it was because turn 1 was terrible. And we'll go over the lap and I'll explain where I lost time. But overall, just the line for this track and everything. So. My usual brake marker is this black box right here. I think Kyle wasn't seeing something like this in Catalonia, but this is my braking marker. I actually went further. I was testing with different braking points because this is still kind of early on in just overall testing, because I spent the first few laps going through a Rouge and then just kind of working on the best line and braking point. So I missed it here. I went far too deep. You really want to be turning in and like cutting through the green. Try to get as close to this inside wall as you can. Yeah, I mean, the car should be, my right wheels should be right here. It just allows it allows you to get to power sooner because you don't have to rotate. You don't have to turn the wheel as much to try to get the car rotated. You're already kind of rotating in. So just a tighter line through here. Through a Rouge, you want to straddle this rumble strip. Ideally, you want your left tires to be in the green right here, and all your rotation is going to happen right around here. You can get a lot of compression here, so you get a lot of grip and you get a lot of rotation. If you try to cut through here and then go up, you're going to push wide and you're going to go off track on the left. So you really want to set yourself up angle-wise to be turning in like this, get your grip and rotation here, and then cut back to the right. Try to hug the right rumble strip, but you want to hug it up here. You don't want to hug it too soon, like down here. And you'll see. See the, and I'll actually run through this in slow motion. So I've still got the car rotating in, and I'm gonna unwind it and get all my rotation at the bottom where the compression and grip is, and I don't have a whole lot of steering input put in. And then as I'm coming up the hill, I'm unwinding it straight again, cutting over this corner a little bit. It just allows you to get your rotation, but you're not turning the wheel too much and scrubbing speed because it's such a long straight. I think I was doing some testing in the first couple laps, and I would actually lift because I wanted to see how much time would be lost lifting versus not lifting, because I know it is it can be a challenging corner, but it's all about timing. If you can get the timing right and the line right, you can take it full throttle, no problem. But yeah, I was losing like 7-8 tenths by the end of this straight just by a slight lift. So it's really beneficial to get that line correct and be able to carry momentum all the way up and through. Braking marker here is probably, I don't know, 10 yards before this strip starts right here. I'm braking heavy to get the car slowed down, and then trail braking in and cutting the right and the left a little bit. And I'll explain the right one. You can, in the McLaren at least, you can kind of power through, but the left one you have to lift a little bit. So right here, well, actually I'll go back a little bit. You can you can cut this and get your right tires on the green, and it sets you up better to take this corner. Because if you're trying to, stay on the track and not cut this little bit right here, you take away some momentum that can help you keep pace and speed through this entire complex of corners. So you cut a little bit, it sets you up better for this left-hander up here. And I think you can actually cut more than that. But here in the McLaren, the car will get unsettled. So if you look at my throttle, as I'm going over these bumps, I'm still keeping some throttle input because it helps stabilize the car and helps keep some momentum as opposed to just lifting. But I'm not back to full power till I'm off of that. So hitting it, keeping some power, and as soon as the car is over it, I'm back to full power. And then this corner, you really don't brake more than 8 to 10%. So we'll play this in full speed, but cut a little bit of this right one, cut the left, but just be careful with your throttle application. And then setting up to the right-hander, just a little bit of brake to get the nose to bite in the McLaren. It might be different in the Mercedes or Aston since they're front engine. They might just need a lift. But minimal brake pressure after your initial brake pressure to slow down. Minimal brake pressure is going to be used through the rest of this, if any, just to help keep momentum up. I'm back to full power. I'm going to push out as wide as I can. Use all the track available. That's key anywhere to keep momentum up. If you're not using all the track, you're losing speed. I'm going to brake here at this rumble strip again, and I'm going to, as I'm braking, I'm going to kind of slightly turn in, because you would think, you would think like, oh, that's the apex, I need to hug that, but you actually want to push a little deep and kind of diamond this off and hit the late apex on the other side. Keep that slight brake pressure, trail brake all the way out until you're wanting to go back to power, because as soon as you release brake, the car's going to want to understeer. And I actually used a little bit of abrupt acceleration to kind of get it's not as noticeable as like the Mercedes, but you can use the throttle sometimes to get the car a little rotated in the McLaren. It's not, like I said, it's not as pronounced as like the Mercedes, but it does sometimes help. About 30-40% braking, trail all the way through. Not all the way through. I think you can actually go back to power before the apex because it does kind of run out wide. Yeah. So I'm back to throttle. I'm back to throttle pretty much well before I even get close to the apex. You just want to scrub your speed so you can set yourself to be a little closer, because if you brake too late, you're going too deep, then you're having to rotate the car more and you're losing momentum. So it's really all about just scrubbing some speed, don't brake too hard, and just trail brake through until you can go back to power. (50-60% initial pressure), but I bleed off pretty quick. But I hold it through the entrance around here, and then back to power. I don't want to scrub too much speed. It is a fast, long corner. So if you scrub too much speed and you're back to power too soon, you're leaving a lot of time on the table. So brake 50-60% to get the car initially slowed, and then slowly trail brake. Yeah, I'm holding that 8 to 10% until I want to go back to full power. In this corner, I like to sacrifice a little speed. I wouldn't say sacrifice a lot of speed, but the line I'm taking is setting me up for a better exit out of the left-hander. So I'm coming in, braking pretty hard, but remember, keep your trail brake in. You want to trail brake all the way through until you're ready to go back to power. Releasing it too quick or too soon is going to mess up the balance of the car. So be focused on your trail brake. But I'm back to power here. Not as much entering, because once you get up on this curb in this car, you can, once you initially make the jump onto it, if you're on full power, the car can tend to get into traction control or get a little unsettled. So as I'm keeping momentum, and once I get up on the curb, then I can go back to power. But I'm keeping it more tight, because I know I have seen some data where people are pushing a little too wide, so they're kind of out here and they're having to cut back across the track to set themselves up for this. So I'm trying to keep more of a tight line on this corner, so I have very little brake application to make that left-hander, and I can be back to power sooner. So it's actually, yeah. Slight brake pressure to get the front end rotated, and then I'm immediately back to power. So I'm able to carry more speed through this exit, which is longer, because this other one, I mean, you have 100 feet before you got to make your next turn. So if you're carrying more speed through here, but you have to scrub it to set yourself up for this, then you lose all the momentum you can gain out of here. So this is one of those corners where I would sacrifice your line to set yourself up for the exit coming out of here. You just carry more momentum, and there's a longer straight. This was another corner I messed up. I missed my braking point by a little bit, or maybe didn't brake hard enough, but I like to run up over this curb and be back to power. It doesn't really unsettle the car, and I probably didn't lose much time. But it's just when you're having to turn the wheel more to get that turn and get that rotation, it does wear the tires down quicker. Small, slow, smooth inputs is really good for tire longevity. And this was just me going a little too deep. I don't think a lot of time was lost here, but if you can cut a little bit closer, maybe pop this curb. It just helps in the long run. This corner is all about timing. Carry at full speed, but you don't want to turn in too late. You'll push out in the kitty litter. You don't want to turn in too early, because if you hit this curb, it can unsettle the car and then push you into the kitty litter. So this is all about timing. This turn, I was still experimenting with the fastest route through. I had done some just lifting. I didn't really like it. Car tended to push wide. I did some lighter, longer trail braking, and then I think on this one I did just like a quick dab of brake just to see how the car handled it. I actually think if I would have maybe done 8 to 10%, what did I do there? It's like, I mean, that's like 20 to 25% brake. It's a little too much. I feel like that 10% is enough to get the car initially rotating, and then you can go back to power, because I didn't utilize all the exit. See, like, I probably could have gained another 1/10 if I would have broke a little bit less, back to power sooner, and pushed out and used the full track. Probably a tenth could have been gained up to the chicane. It's not a huge loss of time, but when you're talking about qualifying, people could be within a couple tenths. It makes a difference. And that turn might be different for other cars. Like I've said before, the Mercedes and Aston may just need a lift through there, but the McLaren, the chassis requires some brake pressure to get the car rotated a lot of times. So I would experiment with what works for you, but for me, just a quick little dab of like 10% just to get the car to bite and rotate back to power seems to work. I'm braking. My braking marker is the white line right here, but I'm timing when I'm actually applying the brake. It's like kind of like you feel about maybe about a half a second to a second. I'm just kind of timing it in my head of when I need to go to brake, but that is what I'm looking at, and I'll know when I cross over that, okay, I'm about to have to brake. But here's another example of you want to sacrifice this corner to open up this corner. I'm gonna hug this very tight, and I'm gonna stay to the right to open up the left-hander so I can carry more momentum out, get to power sooner and carry more momentum out. Because if you go too deep, then you have to slow down tremendously to set up that left-hander. I could go back and clean it up, maybe shave a few tenths off that, but I explained where I had lost time, and I think overall, with a hot track and a few mess ups, I feel like this is a pretty decent lap. I mean, I'm happy with it. I could go do some more, but I don't really have time. So, but yeah, there's the guide for Spa in the McLaren 570.